I'm Beaver Trapper in Birmingham, and in this segment of the show, I'm hopefully going to share with you lessons that I've learned in the School of Hard Knocks. Hello and welcome to another edition of the School of Hard Knocks. Tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about living through a hyperinflationary event. If you spend any amount of time on internet forums or survivalist boards, you'll hear talk about hyperinflation and what it's going to be like to live through a hyperinflationary event. In the 1980s, I spent time living and working in Central and South America, and I've actually lived and worked in a country that experienced hyperinflation, so I can tell you firsthand exactly what happened to me and exactly how things worked. Now, that's no guarantee that they're going to work like that the next time around when it happens here in the United States, but it is a perspective that I can offer from firsthand personal experience, so you can take that for what it's worth. One of the things that is a common theme on the internet is how people are going to trade junk silver for bread or food, or how they're going to trade gold directly for supplies. In my experience, it did not work exactly like that. It was a little bit different. You have to remember that 1980 is not 1920, and a modern industrialized country like the United States is not a third world country like Zimbabwe. There are some differences. What I found was that fiat currency, even though it loses its value rapidly in a hyperinflationary cycle, will never entirely go away. You'll always have fiat currency. When I was in Bolivia, they were experiencing an inflation rate of approximately 20,000% per year. Think about that, 20,000% inflation per year. What that means in practical terms, if you have $100 in your pocket and you go to sleep for 8 hours, when you wake up in the morning, you've lost money. You actually have become poorer simply because you went to sleep for a few hours. Think about that. The practical aspect of that is if we went into a restaurant or a bar at night to have dinner and have a few drinks, when the waitress would bring your bill, she would present you with a bill and she would pull out a pocket calculator and she would figure out what the currency would be worth when the bank opened in the morning and would add in an inflation premium to the bill, so that the money that they lost overnight because they couldn't get directly to the bank, they would make up on this inflationary tax that they would add to the bill. So you had to figure out not only what your bill was for what you ate and drank, but what they were going to have to charge you so that they could break even by the time they got it to the bank in the morning. So that was kind of an eye-opening experience. Now back to the trading of gold or silver directly for food. What I found is, like I said, the fiat currency never went away, but the fiat currency was losing its value overnight. So what you wanted to do was you only wanted to hold paper money long enough to transact your business. In other words, if you had $1,000 in gold, what you would want to do is you would want to sell that gold for paper money, go transact your business, and buy your food, buy your supplies, whatever you were going to buy with that $1,000. And then the person who took your paper money from you in exchange for the goods, they would immediately go and try and turn that paper money into a hard asset. So the bottom line is you only wanted to hold paper money long enough for the transaction, because you have to be honest about this. Paper money makes it very easy to conduct a transaction. It's a lot easier to set a price in paper money than it is in junk silver dimes or gold coins or ammunition or any type of bartering type of goods. That it's difficult to come to an agreement on price when you're bartering, which is exactly why we have paper money. But in a hyperinflationary event, you only want to hold the paper money long enough to transact the transaction, and then you want to immediately turn it back into a hard asset. So that brings us to the subject of hard assets. What type of hard assets do you want to turn your paper money into? The first thing that you want to consider is that if you can turn your money into an asset that is also an income producing asset, that's the best option. By that I mean, let's take for instance a bulldozer. If you had enough money, you could go and purchase a bulldozer. Once you've purchased that bulldozer, you've protected your wealth, because your bulldozer is not going to decrease in value overnight like the paper money would. In addition, you can use that bulldozer to do work. In other words, generate an income stream. You've got a bulldozer, you can go out, you can do work for somebody, you can move earth, cut a driveway, do whatever land moving needs to be done, and then that person will pay you for your services, whether it's in barter. They may pay you in gold, they may pay you in frozen lobsters, they may pay you in ammunition, or they may pay you in fiat currency and paper money. And that's fine. But as soon as you get that paper money, you want to turn around and turn that paper money into another hard asset that won't lose value. In this case, it may be oil filters and hydraulic fluid for your bulldozer. So the idea is you've transacted the transaction with paper money, but you're not holding the paper money. When I was in South America, I saw all sorts of income producing assets being used this way. Used cars were a popular thing to put money into. It's a lot easier to buy and sell used cars than it is used bulldozers. There are a lot more people that need cars, that use cars, than bulldozers. Even a car can be an income producing asset when people don't have cars, because you can use them as taxis. You can use a car to generate an income stream. Pressure washers, the same way. If you have a pressure washer, you can use that pressure washer to do work and turn that income into other hard assets. So that's one of the misconceptions that I see a lot of on the internet, is that you're going to be bartering your precious metals for loaves of bread. It doesn't work like that. It's a little more involved, and there's always going to be paper currency around, but the trick is knowing how to play the game as far as when to hold that paper currency and hold it just long enough to make a transaction, and then take your wealth and turn it back into something that's not going to lose value. As far as jobs that people would have in these types of environments, when you're experiencing hyperinflation, it really turns day-to-day commerce upside down. What you see is a huge increase in bartering. And by bartering, what I mean is, I'm not so much talking about trading a gold coin for a loaf of bread, but more along the lines of personal relationships being established, where if you know how to repair electronics or radios, if you are a welder and you know how to repair things with a welder, if you're a mechanic and you can fix tractors or you can fix trucks and cars, those types of things are very marketable skills, because people are not buying brand new things during a hyperinflationary cycle. They're doing everything they can to keep their old things working and keep them repaired. So if you have a skill like that, that's the type of skill that will produce an income stream for you. That's the kind of job that will produce an income stream for you. Much more so than being an insurance salesman or some type of corporate job. So you need to start thinking about physical, tangible skills. What can you do that is of value that you could barter with somebody else in that regard? I hope this has been of value, and we'll see you next time. Good night.